Hi, everyone. This is Abera from the Wealth Building CPA. We are going to be having an awesome conversation today. My special guest today is Sherman Ragland, who, of course, is the best-selling author and Dean of the Real Investor Academy and a CCIM, which is to the real estate what the CPA is to accounting. Sherman is also my mentor and has helped me tremendously in growing my business. Welcome, Sherman.
Thank you, Bear.
So today you're going to share with us the 3 simple steps to getting started in commercial real estate investing.
Yep, that's correct. 3 simple steps to getting started in commercial deal making.
Awesome. So let's get started.
So here's what we're going to learn today. First of all, I want to separate the myths from the facts because there's a lot of myths when it comes to commercial real estate. We're going to talk about the 3 simple ways you can easily get into the commercial real estate game today, and we're talking about the 3 best ways to get going right now. And of course, we're going to have a special gift for those who stay to the very end. So to be successful, we must separate the myths from the facts. And there are lots of myths. There's lots of what I call urban legends. But before I get into those, I think the first question I should answer is, who's Sherman? And why should I care about anything this guy has to say? Well, interesting enough, I've been involved in commercial real estate my entire adult life. In fact, I was very, very fortunate that just before I graduated from college, I met this gentleman whose name was Jim Rouse. And of course, Jim Rouse is the father of Columbia, Maryland. He was the creator of what they call downtown urban festival marketplaces like Harbor Place. And he was the first one to talk about the Back to the City movement. Of course, now everybody today understands the Back to the City movement. Heck, all you got to do is look at Washington, D.C. But back in the 1960s, 1970s, and early 80s, Jim Rouse was a pioneer and a visionary because he was telling people it's time to move back to the cities. Well, Jim Rouse had tried to hire me when I graduated from Towson University, and I actually wound up turning him down. Yeah, that's right, Abera. He was the guy who said to me, "You're never going to learn real estate sitting in a classroom." But I was too hard-headed to listen to him. Plus, I had also earned a full fellowship to the Wharton School of Business. And while I was at Wharton, I studied every single class I could on the topic of real estate. And when I got out, of course, I was employee number 2. I was hired by Xerox Realty Corporation, following in the footsteps of my mentor, Jim Rouse, wanting to do large-scale land development. And I was hired to work on this project. I was hired as the CFO for this 2,300-acre project not too far from Dulles Airport. And my very first project, this is actually groundbreaking day at Lansdowne. My very first project was, of course, building the Lansdowne Conference Center. Shortly thereafter, after we got it started, I left and I went to work for a developer in downtown Washington D.C. In fact, this is my mentor, Ali Carr, and Ali Carr was the biggest developer in downtown D.C. And Ali was the guy who let me have my own project when I went to go work for him. And this was my very first project, building office headquarters for associations, these small-scale commercial properties in Alexandria, Virginia. And then from there, I set up my own consulting business when I left the car company, as the commercial market started to crash and burn. So I've also seen the upside, I've seen the downside, and I started my own consulting business, and I took on federal government agencies and, of course, the D.C. government, and I helped the D.C. government put together this deal. This, of course, is the museum located at 555 Pennsylvania Avenue, which is a piece of property used to be owned by the D.C. government, and I helped them put the whole deal together, sell it for $100 million, which was sold to the Gannett Foundation, who then, of course, built the museum right here on Pennsylvania Avenue. Now, of course, when I started doing my own deals, I didn't have the kind of resources or money that these big-time developers had, so I started off doing fix and flip houses. And that was my very first fix and flip house, little property over in Capitol Heights Boulevard. And from there, I learned the fix and flip business and did that for a couple of years. And then I moved back into the world of commercial real estate. In fact, this was my very first building. I bought this office building to house my growing commercial real estate company, I should say growing real estate company. I shouldn't preface it by saying commercial. And this was a little technique that I use, and I'm going to talk about it today, of how to use your own business. Robert Kiyosaki, of course, talks about this in the books Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and Cash Flow Quadrant. But how do you use your business as a tool to buy commercial real estate? And as my fix and flip business was growing and I started picking up employees and partners and stuff, we were renting space out near the New Carrollton Metro. And I took the same amount of money I was spending on renting space and actually got twice as much space by buying my own building. And then from there, started moving back into things like, apartment buildings. So this is an apartment building that we're in the process of building right now, 3 blocks from the waterfront in downtown Baltimore. And then, of course, this was my first apartment building, which was a gut rehab job I did up in Reservoir Hill, which had some tax credits associated with it. We can talk more about that a little bit later. And then, of course, I've done some land development. This is a project that I did. It was a 22-acre project that turned out to be the new Nissan headquarters, or Nissan dealership, excuse me, in Bowie, Maryland, and also the new CVS. So bottom line is, who's Sherman and why should you care? He's a guy who's done commercial real estate, big time commercial real estate as an employee. He's a guy who's done fixing and flipping single family houses and has worked his way back into doing commercial real estate deals. And what I think are really the sweet spot of commercial real estate deals, these small scale commercial real estate deals, which quite frankly are everywhere. And so one of the things that happened along the way was I met this guy named Bill Glazer, and Bill was sort of a marketing wizard. And Bill started teaching me how to do a better job at my marketing, and I started doing a better job teaching Bill how to get in the commercial real estate game. And along the way, Bill said to me, you should take what you're doing and turn them into classes. And in fact, when we actually got this building about 12 years ago, this was one of the very first commercial classes we ever taught at the Real Investors Academy. And ever since Bill sort of put that bug in my ear, we have basically taken our actual projects and turned them into what I call a living laboratory. And along the way, I actually came up with a couple of courses, and this is one of the courses I developed called the Blueprint for Success on how to get into commercial real estate. And the reason I mention it is because it was the same course that helped these guys, which are some of my students, actually get into the commercial real estate game. Some of you guys may know Marissa and Bashir, who, of course, split a check for $50,000 by simply bird dogging a commercial deal. I'll talk a little bit about this guy, Jeff Dittmer, who wound up using his business as a tool to buy his first commercial property. I'll talk a little bit about this guy, Stuart Dukeman, who used his business as a tool to buy his first commercial real estate. And of course, you guys know Steve, because Steve actually went out and bought a self-storage facility just north of Annapolis, Maryland, with some of the folks in your group, Abera. And you guys are in the process, or he's in the process now, refinancing it. And he bought it for $2 million and is going to refinance it for $5 million and pull out about $3 million cash, tax free. Bear, I'll leave that to you to explain it to everybody about how that works. But the bottom line is when you refinance a piece of commercial real estate, the proceeds from that refi are tax free. And of course, we'll talk a little bit about these two guys. This, of course, is my dad. This is my son, David. And we're standing in front of this apartment building that I did about 10 years ago. And it was tough. I'll be the first to admit that, there are times in this world of commercial real estate where you're just going to feel like, man, I just want to throw my hands up. But don't do that. Don't throw in that towel. Because the cool thing about real estate, especially commercial real estate, is it's work, right? But you work once and get paid forever. So long story short, it was Father's Day that we took this picture. And in this picture, my son Dave is probably about 8 years old. So this was probably close to, maybe 10 years ago. And so we had this little game we would play where I'd say, Dave, call your granddaddy up and ask him what he's doing for Father's Day. And so he calls my dad up and says, Granddaddy, what are you doing for Father's Day? And we go pick him up and we'd all go to the Cheesecake Factory. Well, on this particular day, my father started asking me about this project. And I suddenly remembered he heard about all the bad, but he didn't hear about the good. At a certain point, I just stopped talking about it. So he hadn't heard about the more recent good stuff that was happening. And so I said, well, Dad, you want to go see it. And so we made a diversion, and instead of going to Columbia, Maryland to the Cheesecake Factory, we headed on up to Baltimore. And this project course is on Reservoir Hill up in Baltimore. And I'll never forget driving down that street. There's literally three apartment buildings to the right of it and one apartment building to the left of it. So we're driving along the street. I'm in the driver's side, my dad's in the passenger side. And we roll past 3 of the buildings, and then we stop in front of this one. And he looks at the building, and he looks at me. And he looks at the building, and he looks at me, and he says, "You own that? All of it?" Now, you got to understand, my dad's the son of a West Virginia coal miner. My dad's the son of a West Virginia coal miner. His biggest goal in life when he was a kid was to get out of the hills of West Virginia in southern Ohio and get to D.C. and get a government job. And I actually had a government job for 2 weeks that I quit. And my dad, quite frankly, didn't talk to me for about 6 months after I quit my good government job. And he never really fully understood why I wanted to pursue that quote-unquote entrepreneur dream. And I suspect, as any good father, he just didn't want me to get my hopes crushed. But on that particular day, we went in and we toured the whole building. It hadn't been leased up yet. And we went up on the roof, and the roof has this gorgeous 360-degree panoramic view of downtown Baltimore. And we came back and I put this camera. This was, before the iPhone. So it's like a year or two before the iPhone. So this is one of these big digital cameras, and I set the timer on it. Probably took us about 10 times. It's on the mailbox across the street. And so we took that picture, and then we head back to the Cheesecake Factory. And when we got to the Cheesecake Factory, it was actually a really beautiful day. We sat outside, and my dad says to me, give me that camera. He says, pull up that picture. And I pulled up this picture. And the waitress came by, and he showed the picture to the waitress. He said, see that? We own that. All of it. And it was really a cool day for me. It's a day I'll never forget because my dad and my son sat next to each other over lunch, and the whole time, all my dad could do was talk about me and this project and how proud he was of me. And the whole time he's doing this, my son is looking at him and he's looking at me and he's looking at him and he's looking at me and he's listening to my dad talk about his son. Real estate, it's more than just sticks and bricks. It's more than just quick cash. When you do this thing right, you can change the course of generations. Here I am, the grandson of a West Virginia coal miner, investing in commercial real estate and buying a building and fixing a building that will pay for my son's college education. And when he graduates from college, I'll hand him the keys. And it'll be his first commercial real estate deal. And he can do whatever he wants with it. But he'll also wind up owning an asset that's going to put $10,000 a month or more into his bank account. And he doesn't have to get out of work for it. And I think part of the challenge that many folks face in this country is that they always have to start from zero. They always have to start from zero. Well, gosh, isn't it time that we didn't always have to start from zero? And commercial real estate makes that possible. So, to be successful, we must separate the myths from facts. That's what I was saying. And this is myth number one. A lot of people think, hey, I need to invest in 4 houses before I even think about getting involved in commercial real estate. Well, here's the fact. That's not true. Because you can actually wholesale or bird dog commercial real estate properties. Here, this particular deal, that's Bashir on the right and Marissa on the left. They literally found this deal, brought it to some of the folks here at Real Investors, and they wound up splitting a $50,000 bird dog fee by bird dogging this deal to other commercial investors. They didn't know a lot about commercial real estate. They learned a lot through the process. How do I know this? Because they initially brought this deal to me. I didn't do the deal, but they brought the deal to me. Why? Because I announced to the group, hey, my daughter is thinking about moving into downtown DC, or moving into DC, excuse me. And I told her, I said, hey, listen, if we can find a 4-unit apartment building, we can turn it into a condo, and we can sell 3 units, and you can keep the 4th for free. So I put the word out to my network, to the folks at Real Investors, hey, I'm looking for a 4-unit apartment building, and this is what they brought me. And I taught Bashir and Marissa how to put this deal together all along the way. Now, ultimately, my daughter didn't like the building. She didn't like the neighborhood, so we didn't do the deal, but they went ahead and wholesaled it like a week later to somebody else and split a check for $50,000. So here's the deal. You can actually get paid to help other commercial deal makers find deals. Listen, every real estate group out there has 1 or 2 people. If you're a member of a RIA or a real estate club or a real estate meetup, every group has like 1 or 2 players that do commercial deals. And the key is to get involved with them and network with them and let them teach you the business by wholesaling deals to them. You can bird dog or wholesale commercial deals, and oftentimes your earnest money deposit is $100 or less. You can use letters of intent and lines of credit, and you don't even need the $100. So the best part of this strategy is you get to look over the shoulder of a more knowledgeable commercial property investor and learn. Here's a picture of me. I'm holding a check for $70,545. That's what I call my pool-sized check. Why? Because I literally bird dog a commercial deal. A friend of mine needed some space, and I helped them find a deal inside a rental project. And the owner of the building paid me a check for $70,000 for making that deal happen. I was going to go out and buy another piece of commercial real estate, but my wife said to me, honey, you remember how when we moved into the new house, you promised me a pool? I found a pool company that can put a pool in the backyard for $70,000. So if you ever come over to the house, you get a chance to see the pool-sized check. You get a chance to see the check I put in my backyard. Here's Stuart, and I'll talk about Stuart in a second. Stuart was one of our members, and he started doing single family houses. And he came to me and said, Sherman, I don't have time to do single family houses. And so he started to learn the commercial real estate game. I started to teach him the commercial real estate game. His very first commercial deal, he was going to move his office in there, and the next door neighbor came to him and said, hey, listen, I'll pay you $30,000 or $29,000 more than what you paid for it. So he wholesaled the deal to somebody else. Took him about 2 weeks to put the whole thing together, and then he took that check and bought his first commercial property. And I'll show it to you in a second, the one he actually did buy and moved into. So, case study number one. Um, you don't have to actually do single family houses. You can jump straight into commercial by bird dogging and wholesaling deals to more experienced people. And I love what Marissa had to say. She said, "How many college age kids do you know that make $50,000 a year, much less $50,000 on one deal?" Marissa, of course, did this deal with Bashir literally within 6 months of graduating from Howard University. Isn't that great? And we actually recorded a session with Marissa and the person that they wholesale the deal to, and take you behind the scenes and share with you how do you get these what I call six-figure wholesaling checks by focusing on wholesaling and bird dogging commercial. So myth number two, hey, there are no commercial deals near me. I hear this all the time. Sherman, there's no commercial deals near me. Well, listen, here's the fact. Commercial deals are everywhere. You're just looking possibly at the wrong things. See, what most people think when they hear the word commercial is they think about these big downtown K Street or Pennsylvania Avenue projects. Well, let me tell you something. The average building in downtown DC is $500 million. It's a $500 million deal. The average building in downtown Manhattan is at least $8 billion deal. Only 2% of all commercial real estate deals are these multi-million or billion-dollar deals. This is my mentor, Oliver T. Carr Jr. And Ollie, of course, was put on the map when he rehabbed this deal back in the 1980s. This, of course, is the Willard Hotel at Pennsylvania Avenue and 14th Street. And not only did Ollie rehab the building, he also added this commercial component, the commercial office space right here. In fact, this picture that's taken me and Ollie is actually taken from the window of his commercial office right there. Well, listen, these are the kinds of deals that Ollie did, and these are the kinds of deals that Ollie got me involved with. But when I left the Oliver T. Carr Company, I wasn't doing those kinds of deals. Ollie was using insurance company money, these big life insurance companies that needed to park hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars worth of deals. And Ollie had the reputation of being the best developer, the best real estate developer investor in Washington, D.C. Oliver Carr is like, he's in the 1% club. And I've been in that world, and I can tell you, that's not the world of commercial real estate, and that's not what you want to be thinking about. This is what you want to think about when you hear about commercial real estate, what I call the Sherman deal. These are small scale properties. Oftentimes they were formerly houses. These are like 500,000 to 10 million, but the real sweet spot are the deals under $5 million. You stop and think about it. If you're a member of a real estate club, if you're a member of a real estate group, real estate meetup, how many people in that group are chasing single family houses versus how many people in that group are pursuing commercial deals? Like 99.9% are chasing houses, 1% chasing commercial. And then you move into the big world of commercial real estate like I did for Oliver Carr. Most of those guys won't even be bothered with deals that are $10 million. So the bottom line is you can actually have this whole space all to yourself. All to yourself. So here's the deal. 98% of all commercial deals are under $5 million. And the vast majority of those are within 90 miles of where you live now. They look like things like this. This is my mentor, Bill Glazer. And Bill, like I said before, was a marketing maven, absolutely phenomenal in the world of marketing. And so when I first met Bill, I said to Bill, what do you think about real estate? He says, I'm not interested in real estate. And it turns out Bill had actually lost his shirt on doing some residential and small scale commercial real estate deals in downtown Baltimore back in the 1970s. He was there too soon. And so Bill had a business that was growing. And I said, Bill, you're paying rent. Stop paying rent. Instead of paying rent, why don't you go think about buying a property? And he, like most people, said, I can't afford to go buy a commercial property. I'm like, Bill, don't think about these big properties like you're leasing right now. Go down the street and get yourself one of these houses, because this house, which is zoned for commercial, used to be owned by a lawyer because it's literally down the street from the courthouse. And these kind of little deals are everywhere. So Bill bought this property, and then about a year and a half later moved into this property when his company kept on growing. So case study number two. This is what Bill had to say. He says, "I'll never forget the first time I ever sat down to talk with Sherman, with you about real estate investing. We started the conversation with telling you to your face I want nothing to do with real estate." And that's true. Bill had actually bought some properties over on West Baltimore Street, just outside Martin Luther King, back before University of Maryland jumped over Martin MLK. And, he was just there too soon. And he lost his shirt buying these, old shells that never amounted to anything. But when I began to explain to him, hey, you can use your business as a tool. This is what Robert Kiyosaki talks about in Rich Dad Poor Dad. You can use your business as a tool to buy real estate, and explain to him how I was actually doing what I was talking to him about, how I had just bought my own building using my business as a tool to do it. He's like, man, that's genius. I should be doing this. I'm like, yeah, you should, and that's what he went on to do. So commercial also looks like this. Again, if you're actually out there doing single family houses, one of the first things you may want to think about is doing an apartment building. That could be your next move. Or you could be like Stuart. Stuart came into Real Investors and started doing single family houses. And Stuart said to me, Sherman, I just don't have time to do single family houses. It takes too much time. I said, well, Stuart, what do you do? And he explained to me he had a business doing day labor. I said, well, Stuart, where do you run your business now? He says, well, I've moved to a couple different locations, but normally we lease. I'm like, stop leasing. Think about buying. And so Stuart literally found this property, and he runs his day labor business on the ground floor, but he runs his real estate company on the second floor. His real estate empire is being built on the second floor while the day labor company pays the mortgage payment. Or a property like this. You guys remember this property over on Wilkins Avenue? This is a small scale commercial property that one of our former members owns, all right? Or Elisa San Pedro, who owns a small scale shopping center. These deals are everywhere. They're everywhere. That's what you want to be thinking about when you think about commercial real estate. So again, as I already explained, Stuart came to me and he says, hey, I really don't have time to do this single family house thing. I said, okay, let's move into the world of commercial. And we literally took him step by step. And one of the things I shared with Stuart is not only can you use your business, but there's some special programs out there right now that can actually get you the funding. There's a special program that's run by the Small Business Administration where you can get 90% of the money that you need. 90% of the money that you need. It's almost like in the same world of like being a renter. If you go from being a renter to a homeowner, typically you can get like 80 to 90% of the money that you need to buy a house. Same is true as a business owner. You can get 90% of the money that you need to buy your first commercial property. Or it looks like things like this. This is a land deal that I did a few years ago. I happened to befriend a gentleman who had a fruit and vegetable stand, Mr. Mills, and Mr. Mills had 22 acres just south of the Honda Bowie dealership on Route 301 in Bowie. And I just struck up a conversation, and one day he said to me, me and my sisters are ready to sell. And we put the property under contract and then turned around and went to the same Honda Bowie dealership and said, hey, do you know anybody who needs, 7 to 10 acres? Because we're going to do, 10 acres along the front for commercial and 10 acres along the back for residential, and then have like a 2-acre buffer in between. Well, it turns out these guys were already in the process of negotiating a brand new license or franchise, whatever you call it, to open up a Nissan dealership, and they were looking. And so we literally, within a matter of months, had a contract and sold them 7 acres, and then turned around and put the CVS and a car wash in the remaining acreage. So these deals are everywhere. The key again is learning how to recognize them. Or even like this. This is a curb cut. Notice you got a curb cut and a mailbox, but where's the house? Well, it turns out the house had burned down about 5 years ahead of time. The insurance company paid the homeowners off, and the insurance company owned the land. Well, the insurance company doesn't want to own the land, but it's not just land, it's a lot. And so folks like Stephanie, who's in our group, she literally looks for properties like this that have curb cuts so that she can go turn around and buy them for pennies on the dollar, put a house on them, and then turn around and sell the houses for huge profit. Stephanie and her partner Joy are working on a deal right now. They're going to split like $2 million off of this property, again, just looking for stuff like this. And they're everywhere. So commercial deals are all around us. Only 2% of all commercial deals are those big Donald Trump style deals. 98% of all commercial deals are under $5 million. And many commercial deals, especially under 5, can be done either nothing down or very little upfront. And every local real estate group has at least 1 or 2 investors doing commercial deals. The trick is getting to know them and asking them to teach you how they did it. So myth number 3, I don't have a clue where to start. Well, yeah, you do. Start where you are. So if you are already doing single family houses, a little trick you can do is just pivot. Instead of doing single family houses, pivot into apartments. If you own your own business, pivot. Instead of paying rent, buy the building. And if you're just getting started, rather than bird dogging and wholesaling for single family houses, which is becoming ultra competitive right now, why not bird dog and wholesale to the commercial investors? Go find the commercial investors in your world and ask them, hey, show me how to do deals and I'll bring deals to you. So, bottom line, the Forbes 400, most of the people on the Forbes 400, the richest people in America, own income producing real estate. They own income producing real estate. Why? Because lenders will loan 70 to 80%. If you wanted to buy $1 million worth of stock, you'd have to come up with $1 million cash. But if you want to buy $1 million worth of real estate, you only got to come up with $100,000 to $200,000. Now I know that to some people sounds like a lot of money, but coming up with $100,000 to buy $1 million is a whole lot easier than coming up with $1 million to buy $1 million. So, case study number 4. You guys know Steve. Some of you may even be partners in this deal that Steve put together, where he bought this self-storage facility. And again, bought it for like 2. He's refinancing it for 5, which means he's going to pull out $3 million tax free. And I love what Steve had to say. He said, listen, there's nothing else like Real Investors. Since coming here in 2016, I've learned how to raise money, do commercial deals, and get my real estate license. Today, I'm not only a level 6, soon to be level 7 Real Investor. The key to success is persistence, a mentor, and training like you get at Real Investors. So again, use your business as a tool to buy real estate, similar to like when you buy your first home. And here's a little known fact. In Prince George's County right now, they will actually match the 90% with 10%. So you literally can get 100% financing if you live in Prince George's, have a business in Prince George's, or you're willing to move your business to Prince George's. So another quick case study. This is Jeff Dittmer. Jeff's from Berea, Ohio, and Jeff drove all the way to attend one of our commercial property summits a few years ago. Jeff took the information that he learned. He went back home to Ohio, and he and his family had a printing business. His father started a printing business, which he and his sisters inherited. And so he went out and he found a property. This is a self-storage facility. It's 3 separate buildings, but there's an office. There was office space in the front. Well, he was very, very sharp, very, very savvy. He moved his printing business, or the family printing business, into the front office and used his business as a tool to get one of those SBA 504 loans and wound up buying the whole complex. 4 buildings in his first transaction. And what I love what he had to say is, this deal is going to make a difference not only for him, but for his 2 boys and for his children's children. So here's the fact. You can bird dog for a more experienced investor. Bird dogging, wholesaling commercial deals is faster oftentimes than doing single family. It's a lot faster than rehabbing, fixing, and flipping single family houses. It's certainly a lot faster than short sales, and it's certainly a lot better paying than doing lease options. So, fact, you can bird dog commercial real estate. So, recap real quick. The 3 surefire ways to get started in commercial real estate are, number 1, if you're doing houses now, just simply pivot from houses to apartments. And then once you get to apartments, you can pivot to other commercial. That's exactly what Steve did. Steve went from doing single family houses to doing apartments, and then pivoting from apartments to other kinds of commercial. All commercial, all income producing commercial property works the same. The key is to get your foot in the door, learn the business, and then figure out what's the best strategy for you to deploy from there. You can use your business as a tool to buy commercial real estate. And again, this is what I did. Go out and, instead of paying rent, buy an office, and then from buying an office, you can do other kinds of commercial. Like my first transaction was an office building, and then I started doing apartment buildings. And now I'm, of course, doing a hotel, and I'll talk more about that in a second. Or you can bird dog. Third strategy, bird dog. Get paid to help commercial investors get more deals and learn by looking over their shoulder. So, myth number 4. Gosh, Sherman, I need to learn commercial from somebody like Donald Trump. No, you don't. In fact, you will learn this business better by finding a local commercial expert that you can look over their shoulder. Myth number 5. Well, I need to go out of town and learn from these commercial deal-making gurus from out of town. No, you don't. You only need to go out of town if you plan to invest out of town. Now, again, there are exceptions. Jeff came from Ohio. But here's the deal. Here's the key. You really want to learn how to put together these small-scale commercial deals. It really does make a difference. There's one national guru, and I think the world of the guy, but I think he's wrong. He says, the only difference between, doing houses and doing these big scale commercial deals that he does $100 million deals, is an extra zero. Well, that's not exactly true. If I go out today, after all my years' experience, if I go out today and try to put together $100 million deal, the bank is still going to want to see me come up with 10 to 20%, which means on a $100 million deal, I got to come up with 10 to $20 million. 10 to $20 million. But if I go out and do $1 million deal right in my own backyard, I only have to come up with like 100,000. Now, granted, 100,000 is a lot, but I know a whole lot more people who've got 20, 30,000 that I can syndicate and pool the money together and come up with 100 versus coming up with 10 million. On top of which, if it's right in my own backyard, there's chances are I know a whole lot about the property, a whole lot about the neighborhood, a whole lot about what's going on economically that I'm not going to know going out of town. And then, of course, finally, these small scale commercial deals, it's like virgin turf. Like, for the most part, the single family house deals up to like $500,000, that's ultra competitive. People are killing each other over doing these single family house deals today. And in the world of commercial real estate, you start getting much above 10 million, you're fighting with the big boys. But in that space, between $500,000 and 10 million, there are so few players out there. You literally have that space almost all to yourself. It's really, really, really cool. So myth number 6, I don't have time to learn commercial right now. Well, that's too bad, because we're actually hosting our annual Commercial Property Summit June 1st through 3rd, so it's right around the corner. And we're literally going to focus on projects right here in the DC area, in the DMV. Commercial properties, I'm going to talk about how we found them, how we fund them, and how you can also get involved. These are commercial properties in DC, Baltimore City, Prince George's, and Northern Virginia. We're going to talk about how to raise money, how to build your team, and of course, we're going to actually put you on a bus on the first day of the event on Friday, which is a sort of a bonus day, and take you and showcase the different commercial deals that we've done. This bus tour is commercial properties only. Then on day 2, we're going to talk about what we call the A to Z day and talk about how you can put together commercial real estate deals. And then on the 3rd day, we're going to get into the more advanced sort of creative deal making. So bottom line is we're going to show you everything you need to know about how to do commercial deals. So my special guest is going to be Dr. Robert King, and I love what he teaches. He's coming up from Orlando, Florida, but he's got about 7-8 students here in the Maryland area. He's going to talk about how to turn single-family houses into assisted living centers or facilities for 10x profits. So let me tell you a little secret. Right now, Prince George's County, you can probably find a house for like 3-bedroom, 2-bath that probably rents for about $2,000 to $3,000 a month. But in Maryland, because there's such a shortage of what they call neighborhood assisted living facilities, in other words, facilities that are right in the neighborhoods where people live now, they're willing to pay $3,000 a bed for converting a single family house into assisted living. And you can put 2 beds per bedroom. So instead of getting like $3,000, you could literally get like $9,000 a month right now in Maryland. And Dr. King's going to show you how to do that. Bonus number 1. So when you sign up for this event, we're going to give you instant access to what I call the Commercial Property Blueprint. So this is that home study system that I talked about that many of our members are using right now to get into the commercial property game. I'm going to give you instant access to that when you sign up as a special bonus. Special bonus number 2, I'm also going to give you what we call the 6-figure wholesaling secrets. This is where we actually went behind the scenes and Bill Reddick shared how he put together these 6-figure wholesale deals, including the deal that Marissa and Bashir brought to him that he was able to wholesale to another investor in like 48 hours, and how everybody was able to split. Marissa and Bashir got a $50,000 check. Bill got a $40,000 check. So again, $90,000, not quite 6 figures, but hey, close enough. And of course, we're going to have the commercial property bus tour, which is bonus number 3, which is on Friday before the 2-day event begins. We're going to actually take you around and show you commercial property deals that we've done and take you behind the scenes and explain how we did them, including the apartment buildings that we're working on right now in downtown Baltimore, and including the self-storage facility that Steve put together just last year up in Pasadena. So here's what you get. the A to Z Commercial Day, which you can learn how to evaluate deals in the back of a napkin, learn what tools you need to get control of the deal. And we're actually going to give you the tools, the contracts, the letters of intent, the forms of deal analysis sheets, everything that you need to get started wholesaling commercial properties, including all the checklists. And now, of course, on the Deal Makers Day, we're actually going to put together all kinds of different case studies and show you in real time how we put these deals together so you can go off and do it yourself, including talking about the Special Jobs Act that President Obama signed before he left office that allows you to raise money over the internet through something called real estate crowdfunding. And of course, everything we do at Real Investors has 100% plain English, full satisfaction, money back guarantee. Meaning, if at the end of the first day you're like, you know what, this is not what I thought it was going to be, this is not where I thought I wanted to be, just simply come to the back of room and we will give you a 100% refund, which will be cheerfully given. But here's a quick warning. There's only 85 seats for this event. This is a very small, intimate event because we want to get every question answered. And of course, there's only 50 seats for the bus tour. Plus, we have a special 50% what I call Take Action Now discount for Ibarra's clients. So here's how it works. Total value for this 3-day event, including all the bonuses. And oh, by the way, the bonuses are yours to keep even if you cancel. But the total value is $4,297. But you're not going to pay $4,297. Right now, people are signing up for this event are making 6 payments of $197.97, which is a bargain. But when you take action now, you get a special take action price, 50% off, of just 3 payments of $197.97. But you need to hurry because the bonus bus tour, and of course the bus tour is a bonus, the bonus bus tour is filling up fast. So how do you sign up? Just simply go to www.commercialpropertysummit.com. That's www.commercialpropertysummit.com.
Can you please go over that
Sure.
list
So
again?
again, we're focused on projects that you can do. These are doable deals right in your own backyard. So commercial properties in and around the DC, Baltimore City, Prince George's, and North Virginia. We're going to talk about how we found them, how we fund them, how you can get involved if you want to get involved with us by bringing us deals, and also how you can be partners like some of you guys did with Steve last year, and specifically how we raise money, find the deals, and build our team. Plus, you're going to get the tour of the commercial deals on the Friday bonus bus tour, plus 2 days of training, intense training, learning how to do it, and of course, the online access, the commercial property blueprint course. And again, our special guest is going to be talking about how to convert single-family houses right here in your own backyard into commercial assisted living facilities. So simply go to www.commercialpropertysummit.com.
Wow, that's great. That's a ton of
Thank you, Barry. And I
information.
appreciate your letting me come in and talk to your folks. So if you want to go ahead and get that 50% off, go to www.commercialpropertysummit.com. We'll see you there. It's coming up soon.